What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Here in my hands, I have what is the most powerful dock you can buy for Apple Silicon. And the reason I say Apple Silicon is because this was built specifically for Apple Silicon. So if you have a Intel-based MacBook or literally any other device, sadly this just won't work. But for those of you who do have Apple Silicon, stay tuned because we're gonna go ahead and dive right on into this dock here, starting with the design, which you may be able to see right now, which you can see right on through. It is built on kind of a floating platform, and then we're gonna discuss the biggest feature this has, the dual Thunderbolt 4 chips inside, effectively letting you run up to 3 6K 60Hz displays, plus a fourth 4K display also at 60 Hertz, or if you want to go ahead and plug in literally anything else, there are 20 ports that you can do so, including a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, and one that I'll show you here when we go ahead and take a look at the ports that surprised me quite a bit. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the design, and then we'll go ahead and dive into everything else on here, and then I'll show you guys how I kind of use this, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have a better idea of what it can do, and if it's something you may want to pick up. So strictly based on appearances, IVANKY did a great job when designing this dock. You can tell from the overall package that it is a super premium experience. You get a solid block of aluminum. It is carved out where you get that L-shaped bracket suspending the dock itself. So whether you are putting this vertically or horizontally, it is going to be in its floating position so that any heat is going to be dissipated into the surrounding area outside of that L bracket instead of being put into your desk. So you're not going to get any hot spots on the device itself or anything that would result in throttling because it can't dissipate the heat properly. So now that we've had a look at the dock, let's go ahead and start to take a look at some of those ports. 9 ports on the front and 11 ports on the back. And I'm going to go ahead and pop up this graphic for you guys so you can go ahead and see exactly what all 20 of them are and what might be useful for your setup. But a few notable ports to mention for me would be the 2.5 gig Ethernet port, the 2 upstream and 4 downstream 40 gig ports, and one that really surprised me, the optical audio output. And I remember as a kid when I got my PS3 that I actually still happen to have right here, that it was a game changer because right in the back, as you can see right here, there is an optical audio interface. Prior to this, you had the yellow, the white, and the red for video and audio, and you didn't get a good HD signal. So this was a game changer for me. So the same thing here, you have an option to do it. You don't need to use it, but sometimes if there is interference with USB, the optical audio can definitely help reduce any interference. So in my opinion, having that on there just as an option is a huge plus. Another advantage of having a Thunderbolt connection on these docks is you can plug in USB devices that also have USB ports on the back. So like my monitor here is powered over a USB-C connection, but it has 2 additional Type A ports on the back. So that's all going to be connected and read through my Mac. So if I do have something like a microphone or a webcam that is a little closer to those ports than it is my dock, or I just don't want to go ahead and have so much chaos on the back of this, I can easily go ahead and just route 2 of those cables to go through there and still transfer all of that data through this to my Mac. So another nice thing of having a Thunderbolt connection and those 2 ports in there, allowing for additional bandwidth to pass through. So that is quite nice. So we've talked about the design, we've talked about the ports, and now I wanted to talk about what it looks like at an actual setup, and here we are at mine. So behind me, we can see I have 2 4K monitors. Both of these are running at 60 Hertz. We have my M3 MacBook Pro, the IVANKY dock itself, and then a couple peripherals. So I have the webcam here, I do have a Blue Yeti microphone, and I have those speakers behind the desk, also still running on USB, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But whether you have a setup that looks like mine or more like one in the photo here, you're gonna get all the benefits because you have the dual Thunderbolt 4 chips inside of this dock. Each MacBook is gonna have a controller on each of those Thunderbolt ports, so we have a controller here and 2 controllers on this side. And because IVANKY gives you those dual chips, you have the dual upstream ports, you also get the dual prong plug, you are effectively doubling your capacity from the standard Thunderbolt dock of 40 gigs to 80. Even just looking at these 4 here, them by themselves are taking about 12 to 15 per monitor. And then if you were to add something like a 10 gig Ethernet switch on a traditional Thunderbolt dock, you're gonna run out of room, and that's kind of where the fun stops. But with this, you have a little bit more leeway on what you can connect and what you would want to connect. So really you can take advantage of all 20 ports and not have to worry about anything suffering or the performance being degraded because you do have that extra bandwidth to work with. Now, the reason I wanted to come back to this and why I still had the USB connected was because of the way that the volume controls work for the optical audio. audio and the USB. So as we can see here, I have the volume set to about medium, and right now we are connected to my speakers over USB. So if I press play, the volume's at around medium. We can turn it up and it gets louder. Now the one thing that happens if I were to switch it over to optical audio, I'm gonna go ahead and choose the advanced USB audio device, which is this. I can go ahead and unplug it too, just to show you guys so you know that it's 100% over that, no more USB audio. Now when I press play, the volume is only going to be controlled by this slider here. So even if I turn this down to just 1 bar and I have this down to 1, it's gonna be quiet like it is. But if I turn this up, I can only control it this way. So even if I have this set to max, this is still going to be playing at its lowest setting. So not the biggest deal in the world, because a lot of the apps, Spotify, YouTube, things like that have sliders. The issue becomes when you open a new tab, so a brand new YouTube tab. Now everything is going to be defaulted to maximum, even though I can turn this down to just 1 bar. So if I were to hover over this here,
today I'll show you how to create.
It's extremely
Today
loud.
I'll show.
It's extremely loud, and I don't know how to adjust that based on, this here, since there is no slider for that. So if anyone knows exactly how I might be able to fix that, let me know down in the comments. So a relatively small issue for an otherwise good dock. If you are out there looking for a new dock, it is a little pricier, but I do have that discount code in the description if you guys wanted to check that out and pick one up for yourself. Aside from that, thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you like content like this. It definitely helps my channel continue growing and get more stuff to review like this. But aside from that, if you did make it this far, thanks so much for staying tuned, checking it out, hearing what I have to say, and we'll see you guys in the next video.